Next up, I want to introduce Dr. Gary Stutte. I first met him last year when he came up for our space agriculture conference. Apparently, he's a space agriculture expert, which I had no idea there was anybody in the world that was an expert on that. But he is. But what's interesting is when you look at the technology that is often derived in indoor agriculture, it's often derived from NASA and space technology. I believe that Jeff can tell you a little bit more about how this is derived from NASA technology. But not only is he a space agriculture expert, he's also an indoor agriculture expert, and he's here right now. So Dr. Gary, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's good to be back up here in Fargo. The first time I'd actually been up here about 2014 with Dr. Shetty's Institute looking at food and agriculture and food security. And what my background is, I'm a horticulturist, I'm a plant physiologist, I'm a space biologist. I have originally started growing apple, peaches, plums, and pears, and somehow ended up growing plants on the International Space Station and spent a better part of my career figuring out how I could keep 4 people alive on a mission to Moon and Mars. And about 5 years ago, stepped down from that to start this, do some consulting on how I could apply that to feed those 4 billion people that are coming to Earth on this planet. And at the Space Agriculture Conference hosted here at Grand Prairie and emerging Grand Farms and Emerging Prairie, met Bard and company and have been retained by them to help them on some of their agriculture experiments. And a lot of this technology, the lighting emitting diodes, was first introduced by NASA that has enabled this to happen. And it wasn't to make a better light, it was to make sure that when you touched it, you didn't burn yourself. Like you do if you hit a light bulb. It was so it didn't break and astronauts end up with glass going in their eyes, and you didn't have to replace it and take a lot of spares. So what this technology does in terms of its aeroponics and its lights and its remoting is taking that ethos of NASA, of going to the Moon or Mars. You have to have reliability, you have to have efficiency, you have to have sustainability. And those are the things that need to be able to get remotely to ensure health and safety. And to follow up on what Dr. Shetty and Dr. Sekar were saying, what this is ideal for is maybe not producing the calories. The last time I was up here in August, I drove 100 miles and saw some of the richest farmland in America growing calories. But what I did not see is growing the bioprotectants, the nutrients, the things that give that health and safety that are going through that diet. So this is what enables those comorbidities, as was mentioned, the diseases that health. You can't fight off things, but you can increase your vigor of your system so you can put up a better fight. And that better fight comes from those phytoprotectants, but those are the colors, the reds, the oranges, the greens, that we are able to now grow at site. So this is taking your food and health and allowing you and an individual and a community or a family to take their health to them, take responsibility back through that diet. Food is indeed our medicine, and this is a tool to let that medicine be produced locally in communities and in homes pretty much anywhere on the planet. So I am delighted to be here, happy to see that this time is coming. This is my first time, just as a complete aside, to be up in Fargo when you're the best time of the year. And and this is ideal because as I did that drive from Grand Forks at that 100 miles, that last August was some of the most productive farmland in America. I saw rows and rows of snow mounded up and not a thing growing. But what this enables is, instead of being dependent upon that transport up that highway, which I'm super glad was clear, you can grow it here. So once again, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for bringing this together. And those events like the Space Ag enabled me to meet Bart. It allowed me to get introduced to Shetty, and it brought them together. So now we're all gathered here in a period of short 8 months because of this ecosystem that's being supported. So thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stutte. I think Dr. Shetty has a question or comment.
No, I just want to thank for bringing this together, but I also want to thank about 15 of our partners from around the world, from Japan, from India, and Costa Rica, and Ecuador, who are on watching us. And so I just want to say hello and greet them from Fargo.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. I think we have 14 countries or so represented. So that is fantastic. I always tell Gary that I think if you look outside the window right now, why not Fargo leading an expert on how we're going to farm on Mars? I don't see a whole lot of difference right now. So, when you think about, again, going back to Dr. Shetty's point, when you talk about innovation and kind of this global ecosystem, I'm super excited. I believe it is very late at night where our next speaker is, but I want to welcome Pablo Vidarte. He's the CEO and inventor of and developer of Bio, a biotech startup that generates electricity from nature.